Hello there, and welcome to a Let's Play for KSP version 1.2, the update that added comm links. I decided I just wanted to start a new career mode because I was bored, and I figured I might as well just talk to myself while I do it. If nothing else, at least if you watch the first couple missions, it'll show you how to get a really good start in career mode and get a bunch of science and money right off the bat. I'm not going to do a full-blown tutorial. If you want that, just go watch Manly's videos, but it should be fun, and it should at least maybe hopefully teach you a few things and get you a good start into career mode if you're a new player. So, I'm going to go ahead and start a new career, which is going to be Let's Play. Choose our flag. I think we can go with the bird. And the one thing I'm going to do, I'm going to make sure the comm link's on. That's what the new update brought. But I'm also going to turn on require signal for control. I think it'll add a nice little challenge that you actually have to have a signal to be able to control your probes, and should be fun. Should add a little extra difficulty. And otherwise, we're just going to leave everything stock. That's what it is. Now the only mods I'm running are Scatterer and Stock Visual Enhancement. SVE is a combination of Distant Object, EVE, and SVE. And then I'm also running Kerbal Engineer. I had to install kind of like a beta version of it to get it working with 1.2, but it seems to be running fine, so that's good. So yeah, this is our home base, KSE, if you will. You got your airplane hangar to build airplanes, runway to launch them, rocket hangar to build rockets, launch pad to launch them, tracking station, which you can track all your missions, and also upgrading it probably has a lot more to do with comms now. R&D is where we're going to get our tech, we'll be there shortly, and admin building is where you can exchange mission rewards for other rewards. I never use it, so it's kind of useless. Astronaut complex to hire astronauts, and the other big one that we're going to go to first is mission control. Now, this is where you get all your missions from. It's the best way to make money and extra science, stuff like that. So, off the start, however, you do only have 2 max capacity, so you do want to be a little choosy on which ones you pick up, because some of them are impossible with starting parts. For instance, escape atmosphere and orbit Kerbin. There's no way you're going to do that with the parts that we currently have. So we're going to go ahead and grab these other 2 instead, which is just gather science and launch a vessel. And we're going to go build said vessel, which will be a command pod, solid booster. We don't need fins because the reaction wheels in the command pod will actually be enough to control this. And I also drained the monopropellant because we're not using RCS, and why not? Saves a little mess. These 2 parts aren't stock. They're from Kerbal Engineer. It's just so I can get readouts of information while the rocket's in flight. And then we're going to need goo for science. I need at least 3 of these, but I'm just going to take 4 to keep it balanced. And lastly, a parachute so we don't die. To set our staging, and we are ready to launch our first vessel. Yeah. Typically with any rocket, when you're launching, you're going to want to launch to the 90 out over the water. The reason for that is so you're launching with Kerbin, you don't have to fight the delta V of the rotation of the planet. And it's a softer landing out there, landing in water, so that'll be good for us since we just have crappy scrap parts. But before we do any of that, what we want to do is we want to exploit getting a whole bunch of science and money. I'll start here with a little trick. It's kind of cheating, but not really, because you learn it eventually. It's just not something you know right off the bat that you can actually do. And that is that there's a lot of biomes, like a lot of biomes, so you can actually hoard a bunch of science without even really going that far from KSC. But in this case, so we have 3 available sciences right now. We have the EVA report, crew report, and a goo. So we're going to want to do all of that from the launch pad here and get the science for being on the launch pad, because that's actually a thing. So we're going to do a goo, a crew report, an EVA jeb, and we're going to take a EVA from the launch pad, and then this is another little trick. Technically you can only have 1 crew report at a time. Otherwise you just overwrite your old crew report, but what you can actually do is if you EVA and then take data and store data, it actually stores that crew report so you can take a new one. So we're going to do that, and so now we got our 3 science from the launch pad. We're going to go ahead and launch, and then we're going to want to do all, well, we're going to do 2, no, we're going to just launch. So we're just going to pitch hard over the water here, and we're going to want to run another goo, and we're also going to want to take a crew report. And so those will both count as flying. Ooh, I launched that a bit early. I hope that doesn't tear off. Don't do that. Wait till you slow down a bit before you launch your parachute. So yeah, and then now what we're going to do is we're just going to basically wait for this thing to come down. Wow. And then once it lands in the water here, we're going to do our trifecta of science again. And we should net about 30 science for this whole endeavor, which will unlock some extra parts for us. Come on. And sploosh. So now that we're in the water, we're going to do our trifecta, take goo. Now that we technically have the crew report while we're flying, so we're going to do this in reverse. We're actually going to EVA them and take our EVA report in the water and take data, store data, get back on board, and take our crew report. So now we have all of those from the water. We're going to go ahead and recover. So when you recover vessels, depending on how close you are to KSC is how much money you get back. So you can see when we go to parts, we got 97% of the value back because we're still fairly close. It's good for when you're coming back from orbit if you can try and aim at least somewhat close to KSC so you get decent return for the parts that you pick up. So now we got that, we're going to go to our science tree, and we're going to unlock the first rockets. That'll give us a fuel tank, bigger solid booster, and a liquid engine. We're going to unlock the science, which will give us our exterior antenna, decoupler, space antenna, and a thermometer for more science. And then we're also, because science, well, more science experiments means more science. So if nothing else, if you're ever confused on where to go on science, get more science experiments. That's always a good plan. But it's also going to give us heat shields, it's going to give us our radial parachutes, service bay, a rad, and some landing struts, and a barometer science experiment. So we're going to go ahead and grab that. And we don't have enough for either of these. So we're going to go ahead and close that. Now one thing I'm going to do is check to see if there's any, yeah, here. You want to look and see if there's any tests that say either at launch site or on the ground. They're a really good way to get some money right off the bat. Like this one here is going to give us almost $6,000. This one will give us another $6,000. And we don't even actually have to do anything. We just have to literally put them on the launch pad and run the tests. So it's a really cheap and easy way to get money right off the bat. And we'll also do another science trick while we're at it. So I'm going to go ahead and pick up both these launch pad tests. We also have a splashdown and Kerbin. That's another easy one that you can do. You just have to basically do it exactly what we just did, except take a decoupler with you and just pop it once you're in the water. And I don't really care about the rest of those right now. So we're going to go do some science whoring. No, we don't need goo because we're not going to be going anywhere. Don't need a parachute because we're not going anywhere. We're going to slap him on upside down. We need to test that engine, and we also need to test the hammer. So we're just going to stack both those on there, and then I'm actually just going to drain them of fuel. And we'll just separate the staging, because why not? And then the other thing we want to take with us is those new science experiments that we got. So we want to take a thermometer and a barometer. And we already have the crew report, EVA report, and goo from the launch pad, but we'll be able to get the barometer, the thermometer, and these two tests. So let's go do that. Oh, she's gonna tip over. Oh, oh, oh! Ah, that's crappy. Maybe we shouldn't let it tip over. Let's make sure that doesn't happen. Can we stick you on the side? Not really. Well, I guess actually we can just do this. We're not actually launching them, and we don't need to do an EVA report, so whatever. Just make sure. Let's try this again. Man, those solid tanks can't really take much of a hit. So hopefully, yeah, there we go. Now it stays in. So yeah, so we're gonna log the temperature, log the barometer, so that's all our science. Now we just need to test these two engines, and I believe they're both, we have to activate them through the staging sequence. So we're gonna hit space, and then we're gonna hit space again, and now we've completed both our missions. So we're gonna recover, and we're gonna get 100% of our value back because we never actually launched anywhere. And voila! Completed 2 more missions, and got 6 science. So 100% value. Cool. So that's all the launch pad stuff. So now what we're gonna do, right? Actually, we should check the missions first. Please don't crash, game. Oh, there's another at launch site. Test the heat shield. And then the decoupler splash down. Can't really get any science for doing. How much money? Ooh. That's worth a lot of money though. 20 grand. So yeah, before we do the runway thing. Well, no, we'll go do the runway thing first. But after that, we'll build a little rocket that can do the heat shield test and the splashdown test. So we are going to build a rotator craft, something or other. I don't know what you want to call it, but so we're just going to take 2 fuel tanks. I'm just going to drain them. I'm just using them as fuselage, basically. I don't actually need the fuel. And then what do I need? I need another command pod. And science. So we're gonna need 2. So we're gonna be running 2 tests. And we also need a barometer. And a thermometer. And that should be all we need. Time to hoard some more science. And my game decided it wanted to crash. So it sucked. Anyway, so what we're going to do is we're going to do all our science from the runway here. So we're going to do a goo, do a temperature scan, do a pressure, crew report, it's in there. Crew report, EVA, take an EVA report, take data, store data, so it gets pretty repetitive. So now that we got all the signs from the runway, what we're actually going to do is use the Q and E keys, and we're just going to roll this guy off the runway. Once we get down this ridge here, we'll actually be in the KSC biome, so we can get a whole bunch more signs from that biome. Could you see me rolling, rolling, rolling? I don't know any more lyrics to that song. And gentle down the lip, and come to a stop, preferably not on the door so Jeb can get out. Cool, so now we're going to do all our science again. What? Ugh. We have to actually go collect that shit? Well, that's annoying. Cool. Well, wasn't expecting that, but okay. So crew report, EVA report. Store that shit. Can you actually stand on this thing? Alright, Jeb. It's a very precarious operation. Take the data. Take the data. Grab onto that. You might as well get in that command pod. Now. Aha! Guess I should have brought more of those. Oh well. Anyway, so now we got our crew, EVA, goo, temperature, and barometer scans from the runway, and also KSC. So we're going to recover that and get all our sweet, sweet science. Huzzah! And we're up to 50 science now, which is definitely enough to buy some more parts. But we should probably... yeah, we're gonna go do that mission first. Those 2 missions that I picked up. And then we'll figure out how we want to spend the science. So what? We need to actually launch this guy this time. I do not want a hammer. Need to take... wow, that's a really tiny heat shield. You can make little tiny ones now? That's cool. That's a new part. Which one do we actually have to test though? 1.25 and a stack coupler. So we got the 1.25 and we need a stacked coupler. Hope I can still recover that engine. We'll find out. Need a parachute. And take an extra parachute just in case. How much does that heat shield weigh? What the crap was that? Oh my god. I don't, new menus, I don't know what the, oh, the fireball, that makes sense. 0.3 tons. Whatever, we're gonna take an extra one just in case. So we can't get, we've got all the goo, crew reports, and EV reports along that trajectory. However, we can get thermometers and barometers from both flying and in the water while we're at it. Two of those. That should be all we need, I believe. Cool. So let's go knock off these two missions. First thing we need to do is run the heat shield test. Cool, done that. Now we just need to get into the water. Be free! Wow, that thing's taking a real lean. That heat shield really screwed with stuff. While we're up here though, we want to get a temperature log and a pressure log. Are we sufficiently over the water? Looks like it. Pop our parachutes and slow down. So we don't need to go any further. And the long and boring wait. There she comes flying back down to the surface. We are going really slow with those double parachutes, but at least we know the engine should survive. I'm going to be kicking it off, but I should be able to pick it up because it won't be destroyed. It'll just be left laying in the water. Man, those clouds are moving really fast. And safe splashdown! Yay, safe splashdown. So we're going to do our temperature and barometer, and then we need to pop our engine off to get the mission and recover. So you can see this brought back just the command pod, but because the engine was still in one piece, it's left laying out in the water. So we can just click on it and go recover, and then we get the money for that engine back as well. And now we're up to 77 science and 165 grand, and we've pretty much done nothing. So that is certainly the way you can get a really good, quick and easy start on all of this. And from there, probably going to need some fins and side couplers. Might as well get the bigger fuel tank. This stuff's all probably costs 45, so it's all too expensive. So now we need to do a. Well, I want to get aviation unlocked. I want to get this basic science unlocked for sure. So we need to go find more science and money. And the first thing I'm actually going to do, I think, we're going to launch a plane around. Yeah, I'm going to spend 75 grand and upgrade the mission control. The reason why is it takes it from 2 missions to 7, so I can actually carry a lot more missions with me and not be so picky and choosy over what we do. So now that we got that, I'm gonna go this orbit and escape Kerbin. Well, it's not gonna expire for a while, but this orbit Kerbin's gonna expire in 5 hours. So I want to pick it up before it actually disappears, because once you pick it up, you can see the. Oh, it doesn't even have an expiry. So yeah, even better. It actually will literally never expire now that I've picked it up. And I'm also going to do that with this Escape the Atmosphere, because it's really good money in science as well. And I think it's because these are prestigious ones. They don't actually expire. And now, we need to do some more testing. This thing wants us to test a coupler at the launch site for 6 grand. That would be really easy to do. I'm not really going to go into orbit yet. However, we could do a little higher shot here and try and get some upper atmosphere science. And do this parachute test while we're at it. And I can do this radial decoupler test while we're at it. And these are all, you can do them with rockets, but they're a lot easier to do with a plane. That's part of the reason I want to unlock the aviation, so that I can pick all these up and do all of these. But for now, we have all the missions that we can foreseeably do. So we are going to build another rocket that will hopefully get us up into the upper atmosphere. So let's get rid of that. Command pod. We're actually going to do a proper rocket this time. Albeit probably still pretty small. I want some of those. I'm going to take the swivel engine. I believe it's a little heavier. Yeah, it's a little heavier, but it gives you gimbal, so you can actually control your rocket with the engine thrust, which will be extremely useful. And then what we're also going to do, I'm going to use 2 boosters on the launch here, but I need to do that test. That's test this decoupler at the launch site. So I obviously don't want to actually kick my engines off at the launch site. However, I can just put some dummy rings on there. We'll launch those first. And we'll launch our solids, and we'll kick them off, and we'll launch our engine. Cool. Wait. Are we gonna try and bring this whole thing down? Might as well, I guess. Should be able to do it with a couple parachutes. I definitely want fins though, because that last launch went pretty squirrely. So, fins on there, don't mind needing anal. Now if you want, you could put nose caps on these solid boosters, but technically it actually hinders you because it increases the weight and doesn't actually help your drag at all. So I'm not even going to bother using them, even though they look pretty. We don't need a comm antenna because we're going to have Jeb. I am going to take Kerbo in here. And we are definitely going to want some food. Should only need one of these though. Whatever, we'll take 2 just in case. And I'm going to be bringing back this whole rocket, so they should be okay down there. Then we're going to need probably a couple barometers, a couple thermometers. Let's put these up here. Should be all we need for that. So because we're going to try and bring down that engine, I'm going to put 3 parachutes on it, and hopefully that should give us enough to actually bring this guy down. This is kind of bugging me. I don't like things that don't look pretty. I don't know, it looks a little better. And that should be all we need. So the goals here is we're going to test the decoupler, we're also going to test the parachute on the way down, and we're also going to try and get science from the upper atmosphere. What should we call this guy? The pogo stick. staging is foobar. That's not good. Kick those, fire those, kick that, fire that. Parachutes, cool. Yeah. And once again, my game crashed in the middle of the launch. It seems that after about every 2 to 3 missions, it's just gonna crash on me, which is equal parts annoying and frustrating. However, I'm thinking it's probably due to the mods, but I'm stubborn and don't really feel like uninstalling them because they make things look pretty. So I'm just gonna have to deal with it. So anyway, what we're going to do is turn on SAS. We're going to set our throttle to who knows what. Just leave it at half, I guess. Now we do need to do this decoupler test at the launch site here, so we're just going to need space to activate those. And holy crap, those things shot off like missiles. Wonder if you could actually hit that flag. That'd be funny. Anyway, that takes care of that test. So now we just need to launch, and we are going to try to get to the upper atmosphere so we can get all the science up there. So yeah, I think I'm just gonna go straight up while these boosters go, as long as it holds, which it looks like it will. Then once we get rid of them, we'll maybe start a bit of a bank, just so we're not going quite as ballistic straight up. So we'll curve you over. What's our thrust? 2. Let's lower that down a bit. And that should be good enough. I don't know how much fuel we actually have. So what I'm essentially watching for here is I want this to flip to flying high. Once it does, we'll run all our science experiments again and get some more sweet, sweet science. So we now want to run goo, we want to run temperature, and barometer, and we're going to need a crew report. We can't do EVA report, obviously, well, not obviously, but we can't actually do EVAs until we upgrade the astronaut complex. So we can only do EVAs when we're on a surface. We can't do them in the air yet, which isn't a huge deal because we're not actually going to space. So there we go, now we got flying high. So we're gonna log, 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 keep. Go away, go away, go away. And we actually ran out of fuel. How high are we gonna go here? 46. Oof. Man, I should have maybe angled that a little more. Too late now. So we got a long journey back down. I'm gonna have to be careful here though. I'm gonna have to actually pull these parachutes, I think, pretty high up so we don't gain too much speed on the way down. I wonder if I keep this thing on the horizon, if those wings will just kind of help push us over. Probably not once I pull the parachutes. Holy crap, we're falling fast. Yeah, let's... Why did those not deploy? Was I too high up? Are you punishing me? Whoa. There they go. Well, that was sketchy as fuck. Oh, wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Burn the velocity! Man, I really hope 3 was enough. 5 meters a second. Yeah, that should be enough to save everything. So, the boring wait until we get down. And there's no science we should be able to do while we're over here, so once it lands we'll just recover it. And we should have more science. And I think I screwed up that one mission. Now that I think about it, yep. I did not pull the parachutes at the right altitude. Wow, that looked like it hit hard. Probably should have turned fast forward off. Well, whatever. We got the decoupler test and we got our science. We got that at 31 science. Let us go. So, that means we can almost do the next science trick to whore a whole bunch of science. But to do that, we need wheels, jet engines, and preferably the Science Junior. So let's go ahead and get the Science Junior. And I won't have enough for anything else, so we need to or another 16 science, which should be easy with a Science Junior. What? Go away. So yeah, we're just gonna go for some science by throwing the Science Bay Junior out onto the runway and the launch pad, which will be quick and easy and boring to launch. Observe, keep cover. Okay, so we've hoarded a bunch more science, and we now have enough to get the aviation package. So I'm going to grab that, and we're going to quit out of there. Now we're going to do the ultimate science whoring, which is going to be extremely long and boring. So I'm pretty much just going to explain how to do it, and then we're going to fast forward a whole bunch of it. Still have a ton of focus surveys. Anyways. Alright, so now we're going to make another ship. Except this thing is going to be a go-kart, basically. So we want a command pod, so we can have a Kerbal. And actually, we need a scientist with us. We're going to need a pilot, and we're also going to need a scientist, because we need to reset experiments while we're at it. We're going to need a fuel engine. Don't need to cover. Need intake. So we need a fuel tank. I need some gut on this thing. So we're going to do a service bay, which is going to have this guy on the back of it. And we're going to put our wheels with symmetry. Oof, that's not right. There we go. Give it a nice wide stance, and we also need a front wheel. It's not a front wheel. Wow. Actually, it's probably not a horrible thing to have this close to the ground. So let's just push this one up. Yeah, it's close enough. So now we need our engines. everything, but that's okay. You don't need two, you could get away with one, but it just keeps things more centered. I don't really need Kerbal Engineer, but what the hell. So we got our Science Junior. We're also going to need... I'm going to put all of these really close to this door so that when he EVAs, he can just grab them from where he's sitting. In fact, let's put that right there. Put our thermometer over there. Put some goo on there. And this thing looks terrible, but that's okay. That thing's not going to be useful. So we're going to have a scientist collecting our stuff. So we don't really care about that. So yeah, we've got all our science. Awesome. So, the last thing we want to do is throw Bob into the command pod. He's our scientist and he can actually reset these one-time use experiments because we're going to need to take a whole bunch of readings. And we'll call this the Science Hall. And my game crashed again. So apparently going to the menu and back does not prevent it from crashing, which is unfortunate, but whatever. We are going to restart this from scratch. Luckily it actually crashed just a little ways down the runway here, so I didn't really lose a ton. I just hope it doesn't crash during this trip. So here's to hoping. Okay, we finished our science horror mission, and in hindsight I probably shouldn't have drove out into the water. That took a long time just to get a science bay reading, but I was already committed, so I just carried on. However, as you can see, now that we're back at KSP, we have got 193.6 science. We're doing basically nothing, and I can't remember what the last science count was, but as you can see there's a lot of science reports there, and we get almost our entire value of our craft back. So that's, now we have 200 science, still, even with upgrading that, we have 160k gold, money, Kerbal bucks, whatever the hell it's called. Simoleons? Yeah, let's go with Simoleons. So yeah, we'll call that probably the end of episode 1. That's a really good way that you can get a whole bunch of science. As you can see, I've already got, well, I could easily unlock all of these, so you've unlocked all your basic starter stuff right off the bat, and you also have a bunch of money, you have an upgraded mission center. I do recommend, if you're going to plan on launching any planes, I would definitely upgrade the runway. Trying to take off from that dirt is almost impossible. So if you give it one click of an upgrade, at least it goes to cement, and you'll have a much better chance of getting a plane off the ground without having to deal with it bouncing all over the place. So yeah, we'll call that the end of episode 1, and we'll see you for episode 2.